Hi everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm T.
I'm Charlie.
And if you're not new here,
it's great to have you back again.
In today's video, we are sharing our Vegas top tips.
Yes, a lot of you will know Vegas is my favourite place in the world. One of T's favourites. There you go. It's getting up that list quick. We love Vegas. We have been a fair few times and we have vlogged a lot of it, a fair amount of it. So we wanted to hit you up with the top tips we've learned, or some of the best tips we've learned through our time going to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so let's do it.
Before we get started, we'd appreciate if you show us some love and hit that subscribe button.
Yes. Let's go.
We're not putting these in any specific order, so without further ado,
let's jump in. Also, we're not numbering them because we don't know how many numbers we have yet.
Yeah.
So, straight in. I was going to say number one, but we're not doing that.
First up, make sure you compare Uber, Lyft and taxi prices.
Yes. Vegas is a big city. You're going to be wanting to take a lot of rides across the city to all parts of the strip. And we found over time that the price difference between Uber, Lyft and taxis varies a lot. And it's not like one is always cheaper. One day we've been out and we found Uber to be cheapest, then the next time it's Lyft and taxis, whatever else. So definitely a top tip there. Compare all three to get best value for money. And on top of that, if you're getting a ride from the airport, like most people do, then cabs have a flat rate. It recently changed a few years ago, so now you will pay between $22 and $30 flat rate if you take a cab, depending on which zone your hotel is in. So we found recently that taking a taxi tends to be the cheapest, but as we said, compare them all, find out for yourself.
Next up.
Next Vegas tip, and this is everything is further away than it looks.
Yes, I feel like this is one well suited to me. So if you are planning a journey or going to meet somewhere, if it says something is 10 minutes away or it's across the road, please bear in mind that you will probably have to walk up past a couple of junctions, and to cross the road you might have to wait 5 minutes for it to go red or whatever. Yeah, so just please make sure you plan, because everything is not always interconnected as well. So sometimes to get from one hotel to another, you have to like go up a path, go to the side. Yeah, so just plan.
Yes, and importantly, everything is massive in Vegas, and that is hotels included. So if someone says to you, if your friend says to you or your partner, whoever else, the hotel's only 2 hotels along, we can see it, let's walk. Think twice and question them, because 2 hotels along could still be a 15-20 minute walk, because each hotel is massive.
And if you're wearing heels, it will double the time.
Yes. So that links back to our other top tip about comparing taxis. Everything's further away than it looks, so you will need to budget and plan for taxis most of the time.
That brings us nicely onto our next top tip. Hotel location is so important.
Yes, so most of you will be booking a hotel on the Vegas Strip, but what you may not be aware of is the Strip is very, very long. I'm going to say 3 to 4 miles, but that's a guess off the top of my head. So we will put the distance on the screen for you so that we can check what I've said.
Maybe.
But that's roughly the distance of the Strip. So if you are going to Vegas for a particular event and you know you need to be in a certain hotel, maybe you need to be in the T-Mobile Arena, just be conscious of that when you book where you're going to stay, because it's one big long strip, and if you're at one end of the strip and you need to get to the other, then it still could be 15-25 minute taxi. It's gonna be a very, very long walk. You're just not going to do it. So keep that in mind. It really does also change the feel of your holiday, we found, right?
Yeah, because some events occur, events occur all over the strip, but I felt like there was a different feel on each end of the strip.
And you tend to end up sort of staying more around the part of the strip you're in, even if you're in the middle.
Yeah.
A lot of people will go to Vegas and think, right, let's stay in the middle of the strip because then we can go to everything. It's still quite a distance to one end or the other. So
also another thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we found that when we were staying on one end, we'd dedicate like a whole day on the other end rather than trying to plan each day walking to the other end of the strip. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, and the final thing we would say on that is also consider when you're staying in hotels like Mandalay Bay or Resorts World come to mind. They're at each end of the strip.
Yeah.
You may feel, or you more than likely will feel, quite isolated if you're right at the end of each strip. Yes, it is on the strip, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You've going to end up with taxis pretty much everywhere. It's going to bump your cost up from that perspective. And like we say, both of those hotels, you've got to walk for a good 5-10 minutes just to get to the next hotel. So yes, they're on the strip, they're advertised as on the strip, but it's not quite the same, is it? No. That being said, we've been to Resorts World. It was really
Love
cool.
it, yeah.
But we haven't stayed there for that exact reason.
Next top tip, split stays on longer trips.
Yes, I love this tip, and I think you're starting to really like this tip as well, right? For us, we come from the UK, so when we go to Vegas, we stay for quite a long time. Because it's a long flight, we have jet lag to get over. So we've stayed for quite a while. We end up being there for quite a while. And we find that if you're staying for I don't know, maybe more than 4 or 5 nights, then, there we go, just checking. Then what we find is really useful or really fun is to split your stay between 2 hotels and maybe stay 2 or 3 nights in one and 2 or 3 nights in another.
And before you think, no, why would I want to do that? I can't empty my suitcase. Hear us out.
Yes, you definitely can empty your suitcase for one. And that's why we wouldn't recommend it on shorter trips, because there is that. But there's so many reasons. One is what we just mentioned, where you stay on the strip can really change the feel of your holiday in Vegas. So you kind of get 2 holidays in one and you experience it from different places. We've done this before where we've stayed in Palms, which is off strip, and then come into Vegas and stayed on the strip. But we've also done it where we've stayed at one end of the strip and then changed and stayed at the other end of the strip. It's really fun. There's so many Vegas hotels. They're all competing with each other, so they're so just great and amazing.
There's a lot to experience.
That it's worth seeing a couple. Also, there's a monetary benefit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a cost saving side to this. So Vegas hotel prices fluctuate huge. That's not a word.
Hugely.
Hugely. Vegas hotel prices fluctuate hugely. Especially at the weekends, you will find prices hike up quite a lot. So what we found is we may stay at one of the cheaper hotels on the weekend when the prices are high, and then one of the more expensive hotels during the week when the prices are lower.
Yeah.
And it just makes the whole stay a much more valuable and cost effective. So we've stayed in some hotels that otherwise we wouldn't have stayed in if we booked the whole trip in those hotels. And it's been really fun. So definitely a top tip we recommend. And just forget the repacking bit. It's only once. You can unpack.
And if I can do it.
Yes, yes. If T can do it, anyone can do it. Our next top tip is check hotel prices regularly after booking.
Yes, and this is because the prices fluctuate regularly, and there's not even really a set pattern to how they're fluctuating, why they're fluctuating, or when they're fluctuating. So just always be aware of that. Also, when you are booking through a third-party booking site, ensure that you're booking with free cancellation, so that if the price does drop, you can quickly cancel and then, rebook with the new lower price.
Yes, and if you're booking direct, I know a lot of people do, you can sign up to reward programs, which are really good, so there's benefit there. But if you do book direct, then if you contact the hotel and tell them that it's now advertised at a cheaper price, they should and usually do honour that price and lower your price. So that's another top tip. Equally, if you know why the Vegas hotels fluctuate in price and what the reasons are, we'd love to know.
Our next top tip is to do with street performers.
Yes, so the Vegas Strip is very busy, very lively, all times of day and night, and you will see a lot of street performers. And what we will say is, again, Vegas is a service city. These people are a lot of fun. They interact with you. They encourage you to interact with them and take photos. But please just be aware that they're not working for free. If you do take a photo with them, then they work on a tip basis, so they will expect a tip. So that's very important.
Yeah.
They are a lot of fun, but we do see people sort of get surprised afterwards when they're sort of awkwardly having that conversation, or the street performer is awkwardly having that conversation with the person.
And we have also seen people say, oh, I don't have any money on me, and they will pull out an Apple Pay.
Yes, so that's it, the top tip. Make sure that you do tip the street performers if you do interact with them, if you want a photo and everything else. Also, while we're talking about street performers, just be aware there are a lot of people that try to take advantage of the fact there are a lot of street performers out there and try to do scams and other things with you to take money, whatever else it might be, from you. So
like hand you things as well.
just beware of that, and just be aware that there are street performers and then there are other people on the street that may or may not have good intentions. So next top tip is avoid hotel convenience stores.
Yes, so I mean, it's in the name. They are very convenient and they will be located inside your resort, but avoid them because they really do hike up the prices. So you're talking things like alcohol, water, snacks, anything. Please just leave the resort and try and find an AB store or a Target.
Yes, ABC stores or
That's
Target,
the one.
that's
ABC.
the one, tend to be the most valuable or best value for money on the strip. And to give you a bit of background, I paid, I think, $10 for a smart water in a hotel convenience store because I was desperate. We'd been out and I needed a drink. And I was I'd had a fair amount of drink, so I wasn't making the smartest decisions, and I did get a bottle of water, and it shocked me. It was over $10. So that gives you a lot of background. Whereas if you go to one of these stores, you're going to get it for what, $1, $2. So it's just a little bit of planning to try to avoid that. We both know you can't always avoid it, right?
Yeah, you can't always plan around it, but just know that there are places outside of the resorts that are cheaper.
Yes.
That brings us nicely onto our next top tip. Stay hydrated.
Yes, so Vegas is in the desert, so in the summer months it gets extremely hot. If you're not aware of how hot it gets, check out some of our Vegas vlogs and you will see a lot of footage of T in the heat struggling, right? It's fair to
He was
say.
struggling too. He just didn't moan about it as much.
We'll put the footage up, we'll put a link up, check it out and you'll see T's hot. Bothered.
I'm melting. Honestly, it's so hot today. Like, it's been hot every day, right? But I feel like I'm going to melt into a pool of water. Just evaporate. That's all I'm going to do at this point in time. That's why we say stay hydrated.
So, as we're saying, if you're in the summer months, it's extremely hot, so it goes without saying you want to stay hydrated. But equally, if you're like us, you're going to be partying, you're going to be out drinking, you want to stay hydrated, it's a great way to make sure you minimize the effects of your alcohol and your hangovers. Also, if you're like us, you're traveling from a long distance, then we find it helps a little bit with the jet lag to be as hydrated as possible.
And an easy way to do this is to always stay stocked up with water in your hotel room. So a majority of the rooms will have a mini fridge. If you just pop down to the convenience stores outside of your hotel, like we mentioned, and just bring up big bottles of water and always have them in your room.
This brings us on to our next Vegas top tip, which is make reservations in advance.
Before you go to Vegas. So for some of your favorite places that you've seen as hotspots on, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, make sure that you book that reservation online. Check the availability online because you don't want to get caught out.
And a very good example of this would be Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, which is at Caesar's Palace. We really wanted to go. We booked in advance. When we were there, we were waiting to get seated and someone walked in and asked for a table, and they said to that person that there wouldn't be an evening table for another 2.5 months at the time. So that gives you an idea of how far in advance some things need to get booked. I think that's an extreme.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Gordon Ramsay's is even that long away in the list anymore, but good few weeks before you go, pick out if you know where you want to go, pick out your places. Or equally, don't get too worried if you're just going to wing it and just picking places on the spot.
Yeah.
There are plenty of places that you can just walk into.
Just some of the fancier, more popular places.
Those things you don't want to miss.
Yeah. Next Vegas top tip. When going to nightclubs, make use of the official club promoters.
Yes, you will see a number of these promoters on the strip dotted around, and you tend to know they're official because they will have official merchandise on them, wearing t-shirts, lanyards, all of that good stuff.
Or a clipboard.
Or a clipboard. Nothing more official than a clipboard. Make sure, first of all, that they are an official promoter. No promoter will ask for money off you to be on the guest list. That's important. If someone does ask for money, then it's more than likely a scam. Just a side note. But if you can get on the guest list, you can then get entry into the club for free. And in some cases, females will even get free drinks.
Yes, so when we went to Tal Nightclub, I was given free drinks up until I think it was midnight.
Yes, it was so good she can barely remember. There you go. So T got free drinks. Unfortunately, men, you won't get free drinks. You also won't get on guest list in most cases if you're an all-male group. So you have to be a group of females or a mixed group. And when we say mixed group in Vegas, mixed group counts as long as you have at least one female in your group. Also, when it comes to nightclubs, we found we always have the best night when we pick the club we go to based on the performer and not on the club itself. There are so many clubs. They're all really good. They all tend to have their own theme and their own sort of genre of music. Yeah. But we've always found when we pick the artist rather than the club, that's when we have the best time.
Yes. And if you're someone that enjoys going to any strip clubs, please make sure you book directly via the strip club and not like hail a ride to the strip club, because most rides will charge you a premium to go to the strip clubs because the clubs pay them to
let you in. Yes. So the strip clubs will pay taxis and ride hailing services for anyone they drop off to the club. Yeah. So you will be charged more when you get there because you are paying effectively for the extra money that is going to the driver. Equally, the driver will just drop you off at the club that pays them the most money. If you contact the strip club directly, they'll arrange for a service to come pick you up and you just pay a tip.
Yeah.
There we go. So our next Vegas top tip, carrying on with the nightclub theme, we're going to switch over to day clubs. And our day club top tip is to take a waterproof lanyard with you.
Yeah, so with the waterproof lanyards, they're best to use because the lockers can get very pricey.
Yes, very pricey.
Very pricey.
Very pricey. One more time.
When you have the lanyard, you're able to just, pop your phone in, pop any cash, any valuables, and you can just jump in and out of the pool. No worries.
Yes, it is great. Lockers are available, but like we say, you're talking lots of money, $50, $60, $70, $80. It's pretty crazy. So there we go. There are some of our Vegas top tips that we have picked up over the years.
Along the way.
Yes, all that good stuff.
So if you found any of these tips useful, give us a thumbs up.
And throw any of your Vegas top tips in the comments so we can check them out. But for now, that's it from us. We hope you enjoyed this video. As always, we'll throw a link up to another video we know you'll love. But that's it from us. We will see you
in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.